Link engaged.
Visit us at teamspeak.com.
I just got a small problem here. Apparently my StarCraft client just decided not to work again. So I'm sorry, I need a couple of seconds to get it running once again. So now let me just try to use another StarCraft client because I was not a little bit was a little bit on short notice to cast this event, but I will get it done pretty soon. Now loading up the replay in the first time didn't work, but it should be working pretty soon here. Of course, the Team Liquid Opens are run on a very, very professional basis, having the semifinals and the finals being cast by replays if players do not want that their games in the early rounds are being casted by other casters on a live basis. The games did not necessarily have to be casted, so that's a very, very good thing and a very, very uncommon thing because all those other open tournaments I know of not being run this way. Now finally I was able to get this thing going, and we should be good to go. Problems in between. Anyway, here we are. It is game number 2 between Sync and RaNgeD for the Team Liquid Open number 24. This time we are on Xel'Naga Caverns. Of course, if there's a classic map around, it is Xel'Naga Caverns. Sync is spawning here as the purple Protoss in the bottom left, and now even changing his color, RaNgeD as the red Protoss player in the top right. So Xel'Naga Caverns PvP. What does this mean? If you want to attack your opponent fast, it's absolutely okay. The rush distances from one base to another are not very long. You can hide a lot of pylons everywhere on the map, so you need to be aware of a lot of stuff. Of course, sometimes, from time to time, we see even cannon rushes with some really offensive cannons behind the mineral line or next to the main base on the low ground at the natural expansion happening. But it also could be just standard throw gates, the blink stalker play we just saw. So basically everything is possible. The way of the map is not forcing you to go for a 4-gate like, for example, when you play Protoss versus Protoss on Tal'Darim. So that's why everything is possible here. Now, RaNgeD is up 1-0, so he's in a good position. He can be confident. He's got the experience in those kinds of tournaments, so he can just go for some sort of safe build. He does not really necessarily have to take a risk, so he can be able to attack as he wishes. And there we see the probes in the middle at the Xel'Naga watchtower going for some high-fiving here. And there is Sync with his probe on the way to the base of RaNgeD. The gateway is about to finish. Started to mine some gas just now. Same goes for Sync. The energy on the next side is both once again the same. So the question for me now is, RaNgeD going to go for the same build? I mean, it worked in the last game, so why not do it again, never change a running system? Or is he just starting to play some mind games? Okay, I just won with this tactic. Maybe he's assuming that I will go for the same strategy once again, so I will change it a little bit. And on the other hand, Sync, his last strategy was not working. He had the blink stalkers, but he took a little bit too much time, and meanwhile RaNgeD was able to get the DTs out. Sync was a little bit too slow. He maybe should have gone for the killing blow a little bit sooner, because when your opponent is going for Dark Templars, it means he invests money in other than units. So if your opponent has less units, you can actually go in and kill him right away. So we have to see how this is going to turn out in this second game here. Now Sync is able to force the probe of RaNgeD out of his base. Meanwhile, the probe of Sync is leaving RaNgeD base right now. The second assimilator is coming up for RaNgeD. Meanwhile, the second assimilator for SC2 is already finished. And now SC2, there we go, 1 gate, 2 gate, 3 gates coming up in addition to the first one. So classic 4 gate. If you don't know what to do in Protoss versus Protoss, 4 gate it is. It's never a wrong choice. So at the Xel'Naga Tower, some Stalker and Zealot action coming up. Of course, the Stalker is a little bit faster than the Zealot. You need to watch out that you don't take too much damage. And now RaNgeD is seeing this pylon, so he's aware of what is up. He knows that SC2 is going for a 4 gate right now. 2 Stalkers fighting against each other, and RaNgeD really wants to get rid of this probe. He does not want to see any more pylons being built at the front of his base right now. Now RaNgeD is still on this one single gate. He's got gate number 2 and gate number 3 coming up, but that's it for the moment. Meanwhile, there's 2 Stalkers in the back of the natural expansion are still trying to buy some time, but they are forced to run away from the single Stalker and the Zealot here by SC2, who's now moving up the ramp. But RaNgeD still got a sentry, so he will be able to force to block the ramp and with a force field. Now, 1 Stalker of RaNgeD is going down, the second Stalker of RaNgeD is going down as well. RaNgeD got a second sentry, so he will be able to block the ramp once again. And because of a missing pylon at the front of the ramp, SC2 will not be able to warp up any units to the ramp to provide some vision so his Stalkers can do some additional damage. Now, RaNgeD is even sending some probes over here to the high ground next to his ramp to try to defend, but there's not much else going to happen. Now SC2 is adding a robo facility. Will it be for an observer? Will it be for a warp prism, or will it actually be both? Because when you, for example, have a warp prism, you can warp in some units in the back of your opponent, and suddenly you are in his mineral line. Surprise for Zealots, attacking your probes is of course always a thing you don't want to have. Now SC2 is very aggressive right now, and does he need to do something? Not so much. Even if he's behind 4 probes, he still could recover from just not going to attack right now, and looks like he is not going to attack. Still losing the pylon is not a great thing to have, but early on he was able to kill those Stalkers outside of RaNgeD natural expansion. So SC2 is seeing, okay, I might not be the best choice to attack up this ramp right now, so I will pull back with my units and go for plan B. Plan B, for the moment now, is a Twilight Council, is a robo facility, so it looks like he wants to go for some Blink Stalkers. And meanwhile, we have a small engagement here at the Xel'Naga Watchtower. RaNgeD was a little bit too brave. He thought maybe, oh yeah, SC2 is already pulling back, but SC2 was only waiting at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, so RaNgeD losing some additional Stalkers very unnecessarily, and he already, when we take a look at the units lost tab, is a little bit behind. 475 resources early on in the game, especially in Protoss versus Protoss, is not what you want to have. Now, RaNgeD still got those sentries left, but sentries with force fields and guardian shields are not so super effective when you're playing against someone who's got Blink Stalkers, so those Blink Stalkers can do a lot of damage. Blink research is halfway done, 55 of 110 seconds right now. And we can see that RaNgeD with this robo facility, he is chrono boosting out an Immortal, queuing up another Observer, so he wants to have some damage dealing units to deal with the Stalkers, but also he wants to have some vision. Now the Blink research for SC2 will be finished pretty soon here. Meanwhile, the Blink research for RaNgeD just started, and SC2 is about to attack his opponent pretty soon, but once again, like in the last game, RaNgeD does not have a Dark Shrine in production, but he has a lot of Zealots and he has a lot of sentries here, so maybe with some force fields he is able to buy himself some time. Now SC2 with his Observer sees everything. RaNgeD got an Observer as well, and if RaNgeD might be able to snipe the Observer and still force feed the ramp at the same time, he might be able to buy himself some additional time, but both players still playing very passive. SC2 looking to see if he is in a good enough position to just find the right opportunity to blink up on the high ground and deal the damage he needs to deal. But the longer he waits, the better the army composition for RaNgeD is actually going to be. But at the same time, at the 9 o'clock location, SC2 is getting another expansion. So basically he just wants to threaten RaNgeD. He just wants to see, okay, I'm here, I could attack any second now, and I'm not allowing you to get an get up another expansion. So he basically is buying himself some time, getting even the charge for the Zealot. And he's got some Zealot on the field already, 16 Zealots in total, just peeking here at the ramp, linking away as soon as he takes some damage. Just wants to scare his opponent off, but still, when you go for an expansion, you invest a 400 minerals in a Nexus, you invest 100 minerals in the pylon, and suddenly, oh yeah, you have a 500 minerals not being units, and because RaNgeD cannot expand, he is forced to build units all the time, and now he might be able to move down the ramp. Guardian Shield's coming up, but he's not just yet moving out, and the forces for RaNgeD here in his own main base getting bigger and bigger. Meanwhile, Sync only having 13 Stalkers, realizing might not be the best idea to stick around, and he is pulling back for the moment. He's got some Zealots already on the field, he's got an Immortal mate, some more Stalkers, a Sentry out of his own. Of course, if you are past this 4-gate against 4-gate aggression, if you are past the Blink Stalker against Blink Stalker aggression, you actually need those sentries, not because force fields are super awesome, because the Guardian Shield can soak up a lot of damage. But now RaNgeD, when we take a look at the army supply, he is having more stuff, 65 army supply compared to the 52 of Sync, and he is now about to move off here at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, taking out the single scouting unit by a Sync, sending over a single Zealot here to the Xel'Naga Watchtower as well right now. But RaNgeD, he is already heavily, Sync is already mining here at his hidden expansions, 13 probes, just mining some minerals and mining a lot of minerals. RaNgeD does have the Blink, still only the Stalkers can do Blink, no Blink here for the Zealots, not even charge for the Zealots. So it's now the other way around. RaNgeD here at the natural expansion, not just yet trying to attack. He was spotting, okay, there's nothing going on at the natural expansion. Does RaNgeD know about this? And now the scouting Zealots of RaNgeD found the base of Sync. He is of course going to attack this right away, and now Sync is forced to move out with his forces, and he needs to attack the forces of RaNgeD right now. RaNgeD is attacking the pylon, he is attacking the Nexus, and here are the forces of Sync. The Zealots absolutely not in position right now. He is pulling back though with his forces, took out a couple of Stalkers, not more, and the Zealots of Sync, of RaNgeD are also out of position, so nice force fields here. RaNgeD is not able to move out with his forces, but single Immortal gets picked up. Of course, losing another 350 resources is never what you want to have. Now Sync, he knows where the forces of RaNgeD are, sees all of those, just losing his Nexus is not the best thing to have, and it looks like we have another engagement, force fields being cast once again, Stalker on Stalker, eggs and Zealots of both guys not even able to do that much, but I think with Sync having the slightly better army positioning, he is able to do a little bit more damage. The Immortal of RaNgeD not able to get his single shots off on any of those Stalkers, only was able to attack some Zealots, but still RaNgeD having so much more stuff, able to take out the Nexus at the 9 o'clock, is in a very good position. When we take a look at the Stalker counts, it's 24 against 20, and of course there's a single Immortal in the mix as well. Looks like the Stalkers are about to engage pretty soon. Is he going to attack, or is he just going to do the same Sync did early on? Because there we see at RaNgeD natural, he is going for a Nexus. Tried to take out the Observer, and yes, he was able to take out the Observer, so now Sync does not have much vision of what is actually going on. RaNgeD, on the other hand, sees a little bit more. Both guys still warping in some Stalkers, and now it's a 1 base versus 1 base. Both Sync and RaNgeD do not have that many minerals left in their main bases, so they need to play cost effective. The Immortal is here a little bit more at the front. Of course, the Immortal can take quite some shots before it goes down, but considering that both players have so many Stalkers, it's just one volley by all of the Stalkers, and boom, suddenly the Immortal is gone. Now the Nexus for RaNgeD will be finished any second now, already transferring those 20 probes over here to the natural expansion, but there is Sync moving down the ramp, blinking down the ramp, RaNgeD attacking him right away, RaNgeD having a little bit more stuff, but SyNC having the better army positioning, but I think in the end it might not matter. The Immortals soaking up a lot of shots here, the Zealots of RaNgeD are there as well, soaking some shots off, and I think it will be quite a close match, but here we see all of the remaining forces of RaNgeD moving in, going for the offensive blink, taking out the remaining Stalkers, and GG, good luck. Next round is called by SyNC, so RaNgeD taking this semi-final number 1, Protoss versus Protoss. Very convincingly, very smart play by him, taking this 2-0. And I have to say, I really like the play style RaNgeD went for. Was very careful on how to hold off this 4-gate, was using his Stalkers in the beginning to kill the probe, not allowing for another pylon at his ramp to be built. So he knew, okay, they cannot warp in at my ramp, so I will be just force fielding it until I've got enough stuff. This was exactly what he's doing. And he found out about the hidden expansion, and then he sealed the deal with basically having more stuff and won this game 2-0. Now, of course, always you can follow Team Liquid on the Team Liquid Twitter. It is very simple. Team Liquid Net is where you can see everything regarding Team Liquid. Of course, personally, I use as always when, for example, an MLG is going on. The live updates are super fast, and it's all the information I need when I just see the crowd scream on MLG, for example. But with game number 1 and number 2 being over and the semifinal number 1 being over, we will jump into semifinal number 2 pretty soon right after this.